Is Meta stock a buy? Let's do a deep dive into it and try and work out the intrinsic value of the company. As of making this video, the current stock price of Meta is $751.11 with a market capitalization of $1.89 trillion. Meta for 2025 has posted revenue numbers of $42.314 billion for Q1, $47.516 billion for Q2. For Q3, it is expected that Meta will report between $47.5 and $50.5 billion. For our estimates, we will assume $49.5 billion. For Q4, we will assume that they will post around $52 billion as an estimate. This would bring Meta's earnings for 2025 to be around a whopping $191.33 billion. If we take revenue numbers from 2020 to 2025, we can see that Meta's revenue numbers went from $85.965 billion to an expected $191.33 billion in the span of 6 years. We can see that in 2021, revenues grew 27%, in 2022, revenues decreased by 1%, in 23, they grew by 14%, in 24, they grew by 18%, and in 25, they are expected to grow by 14%. This means that the average growth rate in that period has been 14%. One thing to note is that in 2022, Meta saw a decline in growth, which led to a steep drop in the share price for that period. This means that any future headwinds where the company shows poor or negative growth could result in a steep decline in the stock price as seen in 2022. Now, let's move on to some of Meta's revenue generating platforms. Facebook daily active users were 1.84 billion on average for December 2020, whilst in 2025 they have risen to 2.11 billion. WhatsApp monthly users in 2020 were 2 billion, whilst in 2025 it is expected to cross 3.2 billion. Instagram monthly users can be seen to be 1.35 billion in 2020, which has grown to approximately 2.4 billion for 2025. Instagram has become a powerhouse in generating revenue for Meta. The table shows that back in 2015, Instagram only accounted for just 3.4% of Meta's total revenue. However, we can see that in 2024, this number has grown to a mammoth 40.6%. As the population continues to expand and age, more and more people will start to adopt the platforms promoted by Meta, which in turn will drive revenue upwards. Okay, so now that we have a rough idea about Meta's past and its growth trajectory so far, let us try and forecast its future to calculate its intrinsic value. To calculate Meta's intrinsic value, we will use Graham's intrinsic value formula found in The Intelligent Investor. The formula states that V, the intrinsic value, is equal to the EPS multiplied by 8.5, which is the PE of the company with no growth, plus 2G, where G is the growth assumption, multiplied by 4.4, which is the average yield of the AAA corporate bonds, divided by the current yield of AAA corporate bonds. As you can see on the spreadsheet, I have pre-filled the current yield as 5.34, which we got from YCharts. EPS we can find from Yahoo Finance, which is 25.57 for the trailing 12 months. For the growth rate, we calculated an average of 14% as seen before. As shown by Graham's formula, the intrinsic value of Meta with a growth rate of 14% seems to be $769.02. The current stock price seems to be only 2% below this price, which could signal a long-term buying opportunity. However, personally, I'm probably going to wait for it to drop below $400 before I execute a buy. So that concludes it. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments and what you think would be a good time to buy into this stock. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and if you have any other stocks you would like me to cover, please do let me know.